My girlfriend wants us to share our incomes. I make 7 times more than her. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we've got a story from r/relationship advice, where OP's girlfriend wants them to share their incomes, but OP makes 7 times more than her. Before we start, if you have any personal stories of relationship issues and problems that you and your significant other faced that you want to share, feel free to email them to me. Let's get started. So, here's the deal. Me and my girlfriend have been together for a little under 3 years. My girlfriend takes college classes and works part-time, while I finished college 2 years ago, quickly got hired by the company I did my internship at, and within a year, I got a big promotion and a large pay raise. So I am now making roughly 150k a year, while she makes 20k a year. Now she moved in with me a few months ago in the place I bought. So I pay nearly all costs: mortgage, electricity, water, etc. The only thing she pays for are non-essentials like Spotify, phone bill, Netflix, and so forth. Now, recently we got into a huge fight where she demanded we pool our money together and spend what is left after essential costs together. Whereas currently, I pay for every essential and for my own shit. Use a bit to enjoy myself and put the rest into my savings. Now she seems to be jealous that I got a lot more to spend, which is not true, since after monthly costs, I always put the majority in my savings account. In my eyes, she already gets an easy ride, and honestly, she's just shit with the money she does have, spending it on crap like stupidly expensive clothes and then complains that she's broke at the end of the month. So, what do? I hate to put money in the way of our relationship, but if I'm honest, I am questioning my relationship. As there's no way I'm going to let her essentially spend my salary on stupid shit. So, people of Reddit, got any advice for me? Now let's look at some comments. Small Sacrifice wrote, "She wants to spend the rest? 60k? Dude, I too would like a free 65k plus a year." Here's the appropriate response that, in my opinion, you need to give to her. If or when she brings it up again, "Girlfriend, there's no way I'm gonna pull money with you because you're not responsible with your own money, let alone with mine. I already pay your expenses and am not going to sacrifice more money so you can spend more. Financial responsibility is important to me, and I hope you start making it important to you as well." Salsa Rice wrote, "If you were married, you could have a discussion about doing joint versus separate finances. Dating? Lol. She can fuck right off. I say you propose a counteroffer. Both of you keep your accounts separate and she pays for half of the monthly living expenses. Do not combine finances at all at this point. And for heaven's sake, make her sign a prenup. It's for your protection and for hers." Narc PTSD wrote, "One thing you could try is income splitting. Both add your combined income together and then see what percentage of her income is in comparison to the total household income. So, for example, if you made 140k and she made 20k, your household income would be 160k, to which her income would be 12.5%. Now, this way would mean she has to pay 12.5% of all household expenses, which in my eyes would be fair and make her pay something instead of depending on you. Do not pool your money. There would be nothing more foolish than that. She's already getting a free ride." Exoclips wrote, "I'm late to the party, but I'll share my experience. My wife and I both got non-retail jobs at the same time, right when her first pregnancy began. We were still living at home. We had been dating for 4 years, and we both knew then, as we do now, that we would be partners for life, regardless of whether marriage happened or not. We didn't even have to discuss it. We just got a joint account and closed our personal accounts. We did that because we had a lot of trust. We see each other as equals. And in real financial terms, we were approximately equal at the time. Your situation is not that thing. You have your girlfriend unilaterally demanding that you pool your money with her, even though you already pay nearly all the bills. You are not financially equal and you have wildly different financial priorities. To me, this looks like she's looking for a way to spend a lot of your money on material goods. Don't do it." Deleted wrote, "This is what it was like for my parents. But instead, it was my dad. Still made more than my mom. This completely ruined their relationship. I'd recommend not pulling money unless you are 100% sure you're staying with her and having a family. If so, that's when you should pull money under the reasoning that it's more for the rest of your family than just her. If I was a student dating a guy who is working and he's already covering 90% of my living expenses and dates, I wouldn't dream of asking for his money that he worked for. Savage Beaver 0009 wrote, definitely don't do that. Sadly, money is a part of a relationship no matter what. One big question you should ask yourself and her is, are you both fairly contributing towards the same goals? If the answer is anything but yes, resentment will build to incredible amounts, speaking from my personal experience. Penny Lane wrote, so my boyfriend, 22, makes 80k, while I, 21, make 39k a year. What works for us is splitting to a relatively even amount. For example, we each put 50% of our monthly salary to rent. His dollar amount is higher than mine, but it affects our salaries the same. I pay for cable, since it's the same every month, and he pays for electricity, since he can afford the fluctuation. We split groceries. If we go on dates or to dinner, he pays, but if we get breakfast, I pay. I'd make a sheet to see how much each of you puts toward your living situation, so you have an actual dollar amount to work off. But as someone who makes significantly less than my partner, just know that she probably feels shitty as is. It's hard for me to know that I have a lot less than my boyfriend does. He gets to buy himself watches and lots of fun stuff is added to his budget every month. He can afford to buy himself lunch every day. Whereas I get maybe 1 or 2 treat yourself items and I can't afford to buy coffee every morning, let alone a meal out every day. It's just a hit to her ego is all. I worked so hard in college, 3 times as hard as my boyfriend. I came out with loans, no scholarship, but my GPA went from a BC average in high school to a 3.4 overall in college. He went in with basically a full ride, and the rest his parents covered, and his overall college GPA was like a 2.5. I worked my ass off and it hurt to come out making less. But that's the hand I was dealt. She just needs support from a relationship aspect, and even if you don't understand, pretend to, because she probably feels bad enough. Do not share income until you're married. Money is one of the biggest problems in a relationship, and if she doesn't know how to budget, you'll see your hard-earned money go down the drain very quickly. 3 years isn't a lot of time, and she can just use you for money, and if you share income, it'll just be worse. Habits change when we have money. If she can't resolve those bad habits and money problems now, she won't later. Have her take a finance course and see her be more responsible with her own money before thinking about sharing income. Find.5 wrote, sometimes when you are too generous with money, people forget that it is your money. When you never ask her and pay for everything, she started taking your money for granted. Not saying she's a gold digger, but the sense of entitlement for your money is a huge, huge red flag. Her attitude to your money is a huge problem. Total Here Now wrote, OP, I read through your post. You aren't looking for advice on what to do financially, you're looking for how to discuss the situation with your girlfriend. So I suggest you be open and honest with her. Maybe after dinner, sit down at the table, outline all the expenses you're paying for. Make sure she knows you're giving her a fair amount of monetary support already via rent, electricity, food, etc. I suggest having those numbers available so you can point to them and say, this is how much money I'm saving you each month. You also want to make sure she understands how you feel about money. You've described it very well here in this thread. You believe in separate incomes and that most of your excess incomes be diverted to savings and investment. That means you aren't going to give any of that money to her because 1. You're not using it either, 2. That money isn't for spending, 3. It's going into savings. You're probably going to want to outline how you came to make money. You went to university, got a degree, started working for a company, worked hard, and moved up. She can do the same. No one gave you free money while you were going to school. You were focused on graduating, internship, and working. If she does the same, she'll have a career when she graduates. Probably at some point you might feel tempted to state it like it is. I'm not your sugar daddy. But I'd suggest avoiding that phrase if possible. What you want to do is explain how you feel about income and savings, what your expectations are for girlfriends versus wives, where you are in the relationship, dating, not ready for marriage or kids, and that your income is your future. And not only are you not going to give it to her, but you're not using it either. It's going into the future. Best of luck. Before we take a look at the update, take a moment to like the video to show your support to the channel. Don't forget to leave your own opinion on the story in the comments down below. Update. So, I figured since the post sorta blew up 3 weeks ago and people requested me to make an update to tell them what I ended up doing, I probably should. Well, here goes nothing. In the shortest way possible, I ended up breaking up with her. Because I realized, in part thanks to some good advice I had gotten from my last post, there was more that was bothering me, aside from the financial part. Thing is, when thinking to myself in the next few days, I felt myself coming over every little detail of our relationship and quickly realized that I was putting in way more than what I got back. I'm not saying that I'm some perfect saint, but I do think that I deserve someone who appreciates what I already, especially when what I already do so vastly outweighs what she did in our relationship. Also, a big one was the apparent maturity gap between the two of us, which I looked over with my rose-tinted in-love glasses. Whereas I have changed as a person from who I was when we started dating, she's still pretty much the same person. And without trying to badmouth her, that is a person you can be without any issues when you are between 15 and 20. Not when you are in a committed relationship, thinking about having kids at some point, managing your own finances, and planning for the future. And that brings me to the largest issue there was: planning. I am a planner, and I look out for the future. I'm not opposed to wasting some money to do fun stuff while I'm young, but I don't want to risk ending up broke and unhappy when I'm older because I refuse to get serious in my youth. And this is where our personal views seem to clash to an extent, where the good no longer outweighs the bad. She constantly lives in the moment, spends what she can spend, and is sorta used to an easy ride where the biggest things she ever had to worry about are her grades. But for me, I've faced financial issues since I was young, so I know the value of money. And I know that planning can spare you a lot of hurt. I'm not saying either of our views are superior or inferior. I'm just saying that when you're supposed to be partners but you wildly differ on the most basic foundations of that partnership, there is not much hope. As a result, I realized I did not see myself getting more committed to her, which means you're sorta hitting a roadblock in your relationship. I mean, I'm not a big fan of marriage from the get-go, but after such a long time, if you are not even remotely considering it, there's probably a larger issue. This argument about finances brought up a whole load of other issues for me, and honestly, I sort of started to dread what in my mind looked like me being expected to fund the lifestyle that I, from the ground up, do not agree with. I realized that I was losing my own self-worth by accepting this sort of stuff. And I realized the fact that we had an argument about my money and her demanding to spend half of it made me feel like a glorified ATM. Now, the breakup was messy and her dad was a rock during the entire thing. He calmed the situation down a lot, despite him hating what was happening, but I think he understood. I can't say that I'm not gutted about all of this. After all, this is someone I was with for roughly 3 years, and getting used to not having her or her family, who I was close with, is difficult. But in the end, after the initial dust settled, I sort of feel liberated and a lot happier than I did a few weeks ago. I wish her nothing but the best in the future, and I know it has to be without me. As for me, I sort of feel like I get to start over, and hopefully find someone a lot more suited to me in the future. But I won't be actively looking for me because, honestly, being single after such a long time in a relationship feels nice. I get to focus what little free time I have on myself, which is something I've not been able to do for a long time. I get to indulge in my hobbies properly, and so forth. Anyhow, I want to thank everyone for their advice, and if I was rude to anyone, I'm sorry, but at the time I was in a shitty emotional position. But I'm doing a lot better now, so whether you figured I was a douche and completely disagreed with me, or whether you think I was a good fella and figured I was right, or somewhere on the extremes, or in the middle, thanks for your advice. What do you think about all of this? Do you think OP handled the situation the right way? Also, do you have any advice for OP on how he should move forward? Let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss an upload.